Good morning, everyone. I'm going to ride around the world.
I'm Mick Claridge, and I'm going to ride around the world on my bike.
My son, he gave me advice at the start of this ride, and he looked at me and just said, "Dad, don't be a moron."
Let me do my animal signal to gain their respect.
How's it going, Sally?
Yeah, I'm alright, Mick. How's it going?
Worse than that bit in Lord of the Rings, where they go into the top and the spider's in the tunnel. I'm just hoping there's a spider at the top of this one to kill me.
Freezing.
And I failed. I moroned up the ride.
After a short-lived race in Detroit, Andretti responded in the best possible way at Road Atlanta last week by taking a lights-to-flag victory. Topi Korteniemi continues to hold the championship lead, but neither he nor his fellow competitors can afford any slip-up now. Will Andretti carry forward the momentum gathered in Georgia? We're about to find out as we get ready to watch round 10 of the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hello everybody, I'm Thomas Mengozzi, and with me in the booth is Jake Sparry. Behind the scenes is our director Ryan Bauer, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. This week, the Sunday Grand Prix Series makes the first of 2 planned stops in Japan, with Mount Fuji acting as the backdrop as the cars race on the Fuji Speedway today. Let's head over to our GSRC track guide to learn more about this staple of Japanese motorsports.
Welcome to Fuji International Speedway. Built right at the foot of the picturesque Mount Fuji and a mere 1.5-hour drive southwest of Tokyo, it certainly resides in a prime location. Having been around since 1967, this place is perhaps most well known for its presence in the classic video game Pole Position. However, its modern incarnation looks nothing like it did back when that game came out in 1982. At just under 3 miles, or 4.5 kilometers, its 2 layouts have 14 and 16 turns, which is significantly more than what it started with. Without the banking that used to be a part of the first and final corners, its most notable feature nowadays is the front stretch that covers nearly a full mile. The turns that make up the other half of the track make for quite a technical challenge. It includes everything from the long sweeper of 100R to the tight confines of hairpin, to the finicky back and forth of nets. This place hosted Formula One back in the 70s and again in the later 2000s, but it has a much stronger history hosting endurance racing. Sports cars are still a heavy staple here. That's not to say open-wheelers don't still call this place home, though. Lower-level formulas, as well as Japan's popular Super Formula, make frequent visits. From humble origins in sim racing's history to arriving 40 years later on iRacing, Fuji has been a fan favorite for a long, long time.
Well, Jake, from Road Atlanta, which was plenty of undulations with also one big straight, we get an even bigger straight here, and it looks as though we might be heading for like a bit of a slipstream train, if you ask me.
Yeah, Slipstream is the name of the game, especially the run out of Panasonic all the way down this incredibly long front stretch over towards Daiichi, the first corner. This track got a lot of attention last year when it was part of the 2020 Olympics. This is where the road cycling finished off for both the road races and the time trials, won by Richard Carapaz, Primoz Roglic, Anna Kiesenhofer, and Annemiek van Vleuten. This is a really cool track. I love the way it flows. It keeps a lot of what was original about it in terms of the run through Coca-Cola, 100R, the hairpin. That's how it was when the likes of Niki Lauda and James Hunt fought for their titles. The new stuff is the final sector, and they're not running the chicane, so it'll be a fast flick right through Dunlop, but you got those very difficult off-camber corners at Net and Panasonic. That's where you're going to be testing throttle modulation, and getting the best run out of those 2 corners is paramount to the lap.
Indeed, and that makes for a very scenic venue with Mount Fuji acting as the backdrop, as we said a little bit earlier here on this broadcast. Now, I think we should take a look at the driver standings after round number 9. 3 quarters into the season, Topi Kortiniemi currently leads the standings with 460 points, and currently we have a tie in points between Alex Millward and Andretti in 2nd and 3rd place. Gernot Fritsche currently sitting in 4th with just 141 points adrift of the leader. Couple points behind him, we find Timothy Reed sitting in 5th position, Karthik Pai 6th position, Pep Meyer 7th, Thomas Botfai P8, Pat Labrosse, and Javier Sanchez complete the top 10. Those are the driver standings. What about the team standings, Jake?
Well, the team standings find themselves in a very, very close affair right now, with 3 teams all with a legitimate chance of picking up the overall victory. Team Essex Lotus have control of that, but not by much. Just the 8 points between them and the 2 Equipe teams, Equipe Ligier Gitanes on top, with Equipe Renault Elf in 3rd position. Parmalat Racing Team find themselves 4th, with the Vorsteiner Arrows Racing Team in 5th. And then propping up the last 2 positions on the table, you got the Albilad Williams Racing Team in 6th, and the Scuderia Ferraris down on the bottom in 7th position. Work to do for them, but with a 1 split, it's a lot easier to see the team's championship in action today.
Indeed, you're right to point that out. We have a full 30-car field, no split at 15 cars today. We also got a fair shorter race compared to what we had previously at Road Atlanta, just 25 laps around this 4.5 kilometer circuit. Open setup, no spare car as per usual. Drive-through penalty at 17 17 incident points, and then disqualification at 25x as per usual. So that pretty much rounds out the race details for today. I think we should head over straight to the track, as it seems like qualifying is already underway. We are now live. You can see the start of the front stretch right from the exit of Panasonic, and now even further down the long stretch, which stretches for almost a full mile here at Fuji. We see currently from the perspective of Andy T, who puts himself into pole position with the 123.1 here, half a second ahead of Michael the Turk.
Yeah, some solid driving from Andy T, and it's pretty much exactly what we expect from him. Every time he turns up, and every race that he has finished this season, he has gone on to win the race. That just shows you how quick he can be, and consistently quick as well. And he's in a team that absolutely loves and drives this car religiously around all of these tracks, and he's going to be someone definitely worth keeping an eye out on as they go through. I've just seen Alex Millward come across the line in 4th fastest overall, so his work in the championship now is to try and secure that 3rd place overall. 24.1 is a full second off the pace of Andy T, which just shows you how much of another level he has gone to so far in terms of his qualifying efforts.
That is indeed very much important to point out. Now, around this circuit of Fuji, there seems to be a very wide variety of downforce setups that the drivers tend to run around here. Top speeds tend to vary from the middle of the 260 kph range, around 265 kilometers an hour, up to around the 290 range when they actually have to brake for Daichi, the very first corner here at this venue. As we ride on board with NDT, is it going to be an improvement this lap? Yes, it will be an improvement, albeit a very slight improvement, moving up to a 127, still securing pole position, albeit just a very marginal improvement, as we are currently witnessing John Bailiff midway through his lap, going through 100R, and now down to turn 6, the hairpin there. Very, very tightly, nicely clipped here from John Bailiff. As I said, so wide variety of setups, and turn 6, the hairpin is going to be one of the prime passing zones here in the race, along with the first corner. Nets is going to be also potential one, but very, very risky as it seems.
I just want to point out that Topi Kortuniemi put both of his lap times in, and they both didn't register in the iRacing service. His connection was jumping about here, there, and everywhere. That's why his times aren't counting, and he'll have to start all the way down at least 24th on the grid as things stand right now, because he's got the highest iRating of those who have not set a time. So huge troubles out then for your championship leader, Topi Kortuniemi. He's going to have to recover. This might be one of the places today where you can make a really good qualifying effort happen right now, as John Bailiff now looks to try and move his way over towards the finish line here. And he does a 125.2, which is good enough then to move up to 13th position here in qualifying.
As we're currently following with Armando Edwards, the number 18 car, going through Dunlop here. Dunlop a little bit risky as well, because if you take too much inside curve trying to go through that corner, you will definitely get your car airborne and maybe pick up a little bit of damage beforehand, which will hamper your pace and also hamper your fuel consumption, which is going to be another key aspect of this race here at Fuji, as he rounds his way down to Panasonic, and now on the front stretch, all the way open up in here. It's very much a almost a full throttle lap, full throttle section through here. Around 62% of the lap on average is spent on full throttle, with average speeds rounding out the around the 200 kilometer per hour range, or 120 kph. 125.2, for Armando Edwards, moving up into P13 at the expense of John Bailiff.
Yeah, at the expense, a good lap time that's sorted, and nobody else then out there to set a qualifying time. So that is going to be the end of qualifying, and it is going to be a shaken up grid here today. And I tell you what here, Thomas, this is going to be a very important race for a number of reasons, and I think this one split has not helped drivers who are maybe back where they shouldn't be.
This race is going to be pretty special. Here is your starting grid then. On row 1, pole position for NDT, Michael the Turk in 2nd position. On row 2, we find Jukka Tolonen and Alex Millward in 3rd and 4th. Javier Sanchez and Gernot Ritchie on row 3. Then Pepe Fuentes and Thomas Bartfai in row 4 on 7th and 8th. And then on row 5, 9th position for Daniel and Freckleton, and 10th position for Barry West.
Over the page then to row 6 of the grid, where Kartik Pai finds himself. Very, very accomplished driver is Kartik, and he will have the aptly named Joshua Germany driving in Japan from Club UK and Ireland. So a bit of an international affair with Joshua Germany as he starts the number 5 car in 12th. Armando Edwards, we saw in qualifying, put his times in, as well as John Bailiff. So we're very familiar with row 7 of the grid, 13th and 14th respectively, with Adam Kell starting in 15th position. and Cristiano Coriani starting in 16th position. Keith Herner is one of the dependable hands in this series. He will go from 17th with David Azevedo lining up in 18th position on the grid. Row 10 will house Chris Roberts and Kyle Ridley in the number 14.
Over on the next page then with row number 11, we find Andy Hugel in 21st with Andrew Lowry in 22nd position. Then on row 12, we find the last of the people that have made qualifying times here on the board at Fuji. Matt Fairley in 23rd and Jay Jakobowicz in 24th. And then come those that have not set a time. Topiko Tsunyemi in 25th, Daniel Gallis 26th, Seamus Pala 27th, Jason Clapper 28th, Kurt Clapper 29th, and Mats Nielsen down in 30th position to round out the field of 30 starters here at Fuji Speedway for this 10th round of the Sunday Grand Prix Series here in the Lotus 79. Here are your track conditions: 75% humidity, 22 degrees in the air, and not that much difference with the track temperature actually, and a little bit of wind coming from the south as well. So humidity is going to be very important with the air being a bit thicker. It could allow for maybe a bit less less trim, a bit less downforce to be applied by drivers. We're going to have to wait and see how this shakes out in terms of the pace of everyone's cars here. But yeah, partly cloudy and not that much difference in temperature.
The big key is going to be the wind. 21 kilometers an hour is a lot, and they'll be really fighting about it on this undulating surface. In sim time, by the way, it's just gone 7:05 in the morning, so early wake-up call for all the virtual fans.
Indeed, as you can see, it is very much dawn conditions here on the track, being a little bit darker there as everybody is currently waiting on the starting grid for the race start here at Fuji Speedway. We mentioned fuel consumption: 2 liters per lap consumed, 52 liters of a minimum load, and damage can really hamper your consumption. The revs rise, the lights are red, they are going to turn green, they turn green, and we're racing in Fuji Speedway here as they go down to the front stretch. Mayhem with someone already in the wall and barely a few meters ahead as we already get barreled down into Daishi. Who is it going to be making it through the lead? It is going to be, it seems like, NDT losing the top spot it's going to be losing the top spot to Michael the Turk, managing to get past NDT into turn 1 while moving up to Coca-Cola. It's NDT in second place with just ahead of him Michael the Turk again, heading in through 100R. Alex Miller battling with Jukka Tolonen in third position and fourth position. Tolonen down the inside, it seems like, looking to try and force the issue, potentially trying to go around the outside of the hairpin in turn 6. Will he be able to make the move stick? Not quite. He decides to back out of it, and that will keep Millward in third position right for now as they head down the Dunlop.
You can't get much closer on the run down through 300R. Alex Millward putting a resolute block on Jukka Tolonen, and that was massive in terms of the run they wanted in this race, and it has completely allowed T and the Turk to get themselves going. So they're looking pretty solid in the early stages of this race. Troubles for Barry West in the number 16 car. He was around and on the radio. He was not a happy character as he went forward with the way that his race was going. It was John Bailiff on lap 1 who found himself in the wall for about 300 meters. There is a lot of torque in these machines, and it's very easy to get it wrong, but key for Michael de Turk: build a gap early, keep Andy T out of sight.
Indeed, and already after lap number 1, the gap moving up to around a 8/10 of a second, and now in favor of Michael de Turk, getting clumped back slowly but surely as everybody just spreads out in the middle of the stretch right here as we see Pepe Fuentes making some work on Javier Sanchez. We now follow along with Topi Cortinini, one of those that did not set a qualifying time, starting at the back here, moved up already into 10th position, now following Karthik Pai along as we now witness the number 8 car going through Coca-Cola, trying to find an overture on Pepe Fuentes through 100R, not quite making it, and everybody's just going to follow through right up until the hairpin.
It's not ideal what Topi Cortiniemi's got at the moment as Kartik Pai sees the slew of cars in front. Pepe Fuentes, Xavier Sanchez, Heike 360 ES on Twitch, Journo Fricha, and then Dylan Freckleton, who's holding the group up. So they've got all that to try and go through, but it was a great start from Cortiniemi. He knew he had to make progress early, and he did. Do want to point out as well that I believe it was Adam Kell and Armando Edwards. They got jump start penalties as, whoa, way wide in the background is going to go Kartik Pai. He's going to drop a position, but ultimately now it's about what do you do? 2 drives with jump start penalties, not what you want. Joshua Germany got an almighty run out to the final corner there, but he had to temper it ever so slightly, and now he's fighting against the draft. Look how close he's trying to get. He's trying to side draft almost.
Yeah, very much trying to side draft along the number 8 car of Karthik Pai. They're side by side, wheel to wheel down the straight. Watch out for Karthik Pai. Meanwhile, up ahead, it's going to be Millward retaking third position away from Tolonen as they break down into Daichi. In the meantime, we see Tolonen from the onboard camera perspective going down to Coca-Cola. He's going to be following along with Millward, potentially trying to find an overture at the hairpin just after 100R, trying to keep his line neat and tidy, trying to find a better exit speed compared to that of Alex Millward. I say Adam Millward, no, that's Alex Millward, of course, breaking down to turn 6, not quite close enough to do it, and that's going to be meaning Millward stays in P3 at the start of lap number 3 here.
Yeah, he stays in, and Tolonen is on the radio. He's saying, just go. Why are we fighting at all here in terms of this? Just go. Put the power down. We're going to be allowing Gernot Fritzsche, who's got through this lap, on Dylan Freckleton, and Courtiniemi and Xavier Sanchez and Pepe Fuentes. They're all going to be there. You don't want those sorts of characters racing up against. We've got to go. We've got to try and reach Andy T and Michael de Turk up in front. It's not impossible. On board with Pepe Fuentes then, running through next corner and moving up towards Panasonic, the final corner out on track. This track as well, owned by Toyota, which is very interesting in itself when you consider how much endurance pedigree this circuit has had over the years.
Indeed. Watch out for Courtiniemi, though, going on the right-hand side, trying to get the move done before Daichi. He's got so much more speed thanks to the draft that was given to him by Dylan Freckleton. Courtiniemi moving up into P6. Will he be able to make the move stick into Daichi? We used to see Freckleton trying to break a bit later, trying to retaliate, but it's not going to be any use here, and Freckleton will concede that 6th place to Courtiniemi. Meanwhile, Javier Sanchez will be looking to follow that battle closely and keep an eye on the proceedings, because that could be another position going for him as we see the battle between the top two. Well, the top two currently leading away. Michael de Turk leading NDT by 0.3 of a second. He got a good run out of the hairpin, though. Let's see if he's able to make something happen through 300R and on the way down to Dunlop corner. Is he going to be going towards the inside of the braking? No, he's going to think about it for another day.
Well, you can see how much he's fighting through that section of track. It's normally a heavy braking zone down to first gear, but over at third gear, because it's a very quick sweep, it reminds you of the opening corner at Portimao, how quick it is, the way that you have to drive through that section. So you've got to be alert in terms of how the car's going to react to the balance, and this is a very, very finicky car. Andy T knows this, but Michael de Turk is really trying everything to hold this off. Gap about 3 car lengths as they run on the highest point of the circuit, the top end of the straight, and in the, I would say, the visage of what is Mount Fuji, Japan. Here comes Andy T looking for the race lead. He's going to search to the inside and try and take this one away, but Michael de Turk, slightly later on the brakes, will not have the turn in. He's going to allow Andy T for just a moment to take the race lead, but crucially, you can work in battle packs around this Fuji Speedway.
So, Michael de Turk conceding the lead to Andy T into T1, but still very much remaining in close contact with the leader, who goes a little bit wide there at the exit of Coca-Cola, and then onto the entry of 100R. That's going to be benefiting Michael de Turk, and that's going to be a bit of a slowdown there from Andy T into the hairpin, though. He will be able to retain the lead. Michael de Turk does not think about the move just yet. In the meantime, it seems as though the gaps have somewhat spread out behind him, with Alex Millward and Tolonen in 3rd and 4th, having a bit of a buffer to play with Tolonen for Alex Millward. Then we also have Courtiniemi in P5. Meanwhile, looking back at Javier Sanchez chasing down Daniel Freckleton through Dunlop. And yeah, you were mentioning the NDT having to wrestle the car through the exit of Dunlop, and it seems as though this car is always a little bit on the edge, and actually Dunlop is actually also very difficult, because if you tend to attack a little bit too much and take the curb, you risk damaging the car, and most importantly, potentially going airborne, which will result in heavy disaster, as we see now. Javier Sanchez trying to get a better exit compared to Daniel Freckleton. Now we see the slipstream now. Dylan Freckleton, the number 15 car, getting chased down by Sanchez and Fuentes as well. It's a 3-car train, although Fuentes is a little bit further behind. Is it going to be enough for Sanchez, though, to try and think of a move under braking at Daichi? We see Freckleton moving over to the right-hand side of the track, and the positions are going to stay as is heading into turn 1.
The issue you've got here is that Dylan Freckleton's defending almost every corner right now, and it is a frustrating moment for Xavier Sanchez. He knows he's quicker, he knows he's got the ability to get by, but it's because of the draft on that long straight from Gernot Fritzsche, one of the legends of this series, that he just can't get close enough to Xavier Sanchez to make that move. Try and set it up through the hairpin. It's such an open exit. You can run right out to that curb. try and get the drive, and it's a lot quicker of an entry apex than you think it is. The issue he's got is that he's stuck in draft, and this is where draft trains become so very vital. You have to have someone in front of you, got to stay with, and it's this section of track where if you can unsettle Freckleton like what happened last lap, Xavier Sanchez has a really good chance of making this move. Ike 360 sees the big mistake, a huge tail wag going up into the next corner. Second lap in a row that's happened, and now he's just going to sit and wait, get the power on early on the inside, and this should be as plain as sailing can be.
So back in the slipstream we go with Dylan Freckleton having a little bit of a scare, and now we follow the perspective of Fuentes, because Fuentes was following all this behind, and he was like, yep, there might be something up for grabs for me as well. Topi Cortinimi getting the fastest lap with a 1:24.289 as we head down to turn 1. Is Sanchez going to try to make the move? No, Freckleton moves towards the other side. He's
too deep.
The position right now. He goes a little bit too deep though, and that is going to run him out of the corner and out of the track so far. And that is going to be not quite. Sanchez not able to make to follow through, and everybody's just moving around. And Sanchez, you say frustration, and he's going to be even more frustrated. He thought that the corner was his, but then in the end, Freckleton managed to get back in last minute and defend the position.
Well, part of it was because Pepe Fuentes was down Sanchez's inside. That would have been half the reason. Look at Barry West in his attack as he now tries to deal with Cristiano Coriani just in front of him, and Andy Hugel, who is there just behind Barry West's car. Ridley in their own race. Great four-car scrap in and around, fighting for 20th position at this point in time. But going back to Xavier Sanchez just for a very brief moment, his issue is, I would not think it's the draft anymore. It's the fact he's got a car that's set up for cornering and not that straight line, because in the draft he's only 1 kilometre an hour quicker than Dylan Freckleton. That's not enough to make the move.
Indeed, now that you point that out, it's a very interesting, as we said, very different setup choices that drivers can go for here with varying top speeds, as we see that slipstream chain again with Freckleton this time pulling away a little bit from Sanchez. In the meantime, we got Fuentes all over the back of Sanchez, and he's catching up at a great rate of knots. Is he going to think about the move down into Daishi? Let's see. No, he's going to back out of that, and positions will stay as is. But yeah, it's actually worthy mentioning the setup change, because yeah, Freckleton managed to keep on and keep that straight line speed advantage for him, as we look at the back of Pepe Fuentes' car, looking back on Joshua Germany, and then a little bit further behind Karthik Pai in the number 8 car as they go through 100R. You can see Joshua Germany catching up ever so slightly as we head back to Coca-Cola with the number 19 car of Keith Hanna, as we have someone off the road at the exit of Coca-Cola and into 100R, unfortunately.
It's Seamus Power who's off the road there, and that is big trouble for him. He was up 13. It was getting really feisty. He was trying to look down the inside. It didn't work. Here's a look at Joshua Germany. I don't think that Pepe Fuentes is backing off, per se, when it comes to the braking zone. I think Xavier Sanchez just has more confidence on the braking. That's why he's able to just brake that a little bit later. But you can see Germany trying that inside line, trying to get an angle in. Very much reminiscent, this section of track, to the final sector over at Circuit of the Americas, how there are different lines and you can attack and you can be a little bit different with them. Up the hill now onto the plateau. This is the fastest section of the track, and you'd sort of feel at this stage Cortiniemi again tries to make hay while the sun shines and sets the fastest lap of the race. This is where you've got to have the pace and you've got to be able to make the moves, but nobody has enough straight line speed to really make that run down in towards Daiichi Corner, turn number 1. Behind, we do have some side-by-side, though, as Chris Roberts will look to go around Keith Turner, is going to take the position away, and sneaking up under braking, Andrew Lowry. Oh, he's gone too deep. Round he goes.
Round he goes. The number 23 car indeed makes the mistake and drops down quite significant amount of positions as we get back to that little train led by Freckleton with Sanchez and Fuentes behind him. Unfortunate move from Andrew Lowry that looked to be very, very opportunistic after the move from Chris Roberts on Keith Hanna, but unfortunately did not manage to get the car quite stopped in time there. And yeah, the back end swaps places with the front end, and that was it for Andrew Lowry. There you go. I was trying to find out who that was. Now you can see the battle for 7th, the gaps in between each of these cars. Freckleton currently leading, and you can see the gaps varying between next to nothing, like 1/10 of a second, and then 6/10 of a second between Sanchez and Fuentes as the track goes. Oh, we got someone almost going round, and that's quite the save there. I think it was Joshua Germany in the background. He will lose the position to Karthik Pai, but my goodness, over the sausage curves at the exit of Panasonic. That could have gone catastrophically wrong, though I was expecting he would have picked a little bit of aerodynamic damage, as behind him we find Thomas Bautfei, who will be moving up one place at the expense of Joshua Germany here at the run onto Daishi.
Yeah, Joshua Germany just too aggressive going through that section of track. He was trying to find the move, and all of a sudden, here comes Xavier Sanchez on the exit then of turn 1. Daiichi, they have to get around Jay Jakobowicz, and they do manage that, but Sanchez's run at turn 3 can't quite make it stick, but he's really bottled up right now. There's no doubt that he's got the ability to get away, and again, a very narrow defensive line here from Dylan Freckleton. He's really defending. He hasn't got the chance to break away, and it's opening up again. Pepe Fuentes back close again as they run down 300R to the lowest section of the circuit, and this is where all the elevation gain comes into play. They climb up somewhere close to about 180 meters as they go, about 80 meters as they go up. So this is really the hilliest part of the circuit here, making the big, long climb at the final sector.
Going through nets now, Freckleton continues to hold on, but for how long will he be able to hold on? Sanchez and Fuentes, both of them feel like they're faster than Freckleton, and that's really much like Freckleton acting as a plug here in this little train for 7th position, as Andy T takes the fastest lap of the race away from Courtiniemi with the 1:24.174, immediately retaken back by Topi with the .092. Freckleton once again chased down by Sanchez and Fuentes. Fuentes looking pretty close to Sanchez here on the run down to Daishi. Will he be able to think of a move right here? They funnel out 3 wide. We see Sanchez braking a little bit later than everybody else thanks to the setup that he has on board with Karthik Pai, following diligently behind Pepe Fuentes in P10, and very much pondering, like, I'm thinking there might be something. These guys can't race on like this forever. There might be something that's bound to break, or there might be some chaos that might be bound to happen due to Freckleton holding everyone up and making both the drivers behind him somewhat pent up and having some frustration. So, yeah, in case a move goes wrong, he could be there to pick up the spoils.
He could, and he's a veteran driver as Karthik Pai. He's been in the scene long enough. He was here when I started 8 years ago as one of the drivers to keep an eye out on. So he knows what he needs to do at the right time, at the right place. And you just have to know that sometimes a race can open up for you. And that's what maybe Karthik is thinking at this moment, not thinking about the small picture, but more rather the big picture around this track, and I think that's going to be a key. What will be key as well is how Jukka Tolonen's getting caught by Topi Courtiniemi. The gap down to 2 seconds right now, but look at the run that Xavier Sanchez gets. Freckleton a little bit sluggish off of the corner, and they're going to have to worry a little bit as Fuentes blinks a little bit just behind. This could be a 3-car scrap in the moment, and it's going to be Fuentes, I think, who's going to be the scarier driver here. He's going to have to think about when to pull out to the right-hand side. He's thinking about it, still trying to take a bit of draft. Freckleton moves over, which gives a little bit more, but Sanchez so late on the brakes as they go in towards Daiichi corner. He's trying to think about around the outside, and if he can get the inside for turn 3, he doesn't, because the track still falls away right through turn 2, over to Coca-Cola, the former Suntory corner. Not going to quite happen. They are battling very hard behind as well. Bartfei's finally lost the place to Josh Germany.
Yeah, you mentioned it. Fuentes looking very, very potent here on the run into Daishi on the front stretch, as he's able to keep close stabs with Sanchez. But you said Sanchez laid on the brakes, trying to bring a bit more momentum maybe around the corner, ran a little bit wide on the curb into Daishi, then tried to get a little bit more momentum through Coca-Cola. Did not really pay off so far. So Freckleton continues to soldier on. But it is very much looking like a ticking time bomb, this issue, because he's got no longer 1-2, but he's got 3 cars that are still very much looking forward to pick up a spot, as we see a little bit of the front end waver about there for Javier Sanchez behind Freckleton. Managed to catch that up. Andretti taking the fastest up again with a 1:24.028. We might be seeing a 23 here coming up if the times continue tumbling down like that. Back onto the front stretch towards the start of lap number 14. Now on board with Javier Sanchez. You can see the gap is still staying somewhat stationary visually, and even somewhat widening up if you actually look closely. You can see Fuentes just behind him, catching up hand over fist as he moves over to the inside line before moving on to turn 1. Will he break later than he tries to Sanchez? Nope, not quite. Sanchez will keep on himself around the outside and keep that position, but he gets again held up by Freckleton on the exit of Daishi. So no use trying to break later if he's not able to carry the momentum forward.
He's stuck. That's all you need to say. He is as stuck can be, and it's going to be very tough to get that pass. Andy T has broken Michael de Turk. He is out over a second and a half, so the draft is now not a factor as much in terms of this, and Andy T's just got to keep it on the island now, come away with a victory. I tell you what, Fuentes gets a really good run, and do expect these times to get faster as they go on, not because they're finding more grip on the circuit, but because they're getting rid of fuel in the car. Effectively, every time they go around, that's a 1/10 of a second that they are able to close down, and that is offset by the degradation of the tyre. So with that in mind, they are able to get a lot faster as this race goes on. But there are some very contrasting lines, a much wider line from Xavier Sanchez as he goes through, because he's trying to open up the exits. And I tell you what, Freckleton is being very defensive through that final sector. It's almost like he has no confidence in the car to point through if he takes a wider line.
On the run down to the starting line, 12 to go. You can see it right here on the timing stance. Fuentes once again very much close to the gearbox of Sanchez here, and actually goes on the left-hand side of the track. Will he try to carry the excess of speed that he has compared to Sanchez? Sanchez brakes very heavily just behind Freckleton. We see Fuentes carrying it around the outside, runs off on the curb here, still tries to continue himself side by side with Sanchez. No, he backs off and slots him behind Sanchez and the run onto Coca-Cola. That was looking pretty good for Fuentes right there, right up until the exit of Daishi. Once again running off of the curb, running a little bit too wide there, killing any sort of momentum that he could have carried through, and allowing Sanchez to retain that 8th position so far. But yeah, it looks as though that battle for 7th is very much one of the hottest battles on track at the moment. In the meantime, up ahead, things have somewhat settled down, except maybe for Tolonen and Kortiniemi. The gap has very much narrowed down. Here's Tolonen being chased down by Topi. The gap now underneath a second, 7/10 of a second now in favor of Tolonen. But yeah, in the space of the last 3 to 4 laps, Topi has caught up big time.
Yeah, Topi Kortiniemi has just been putting the lap times in, and he's proving that he had pace today to win this race in comparison to Andy T. Has a little look to the inside, not going to have it, but he's got to try and defend as many points as he can right now. This is damage limitation in the highest sense of the word. Kortiniemi won't be close enough for a couple laps yet, but he'll still be searching. Fuentes has 2 tyres on the grass on trying to get past Xavier Sanchez on the front stretch. So he's trying every which way to make that move, going to the extremities of the outside, trying to find that pass. Ryan Hunter-Reay's called, but he still can't find the pass.
Trying to get the cutback, trying to get a bit more speed on the run to Coca-Cola. Not quite going to do it for Pepe Fuentes, who will still stay behind Sanchez. In the meantime, Karthik Pai still continues to watch on, potentially looking for a mistake. Like, there's bound to be something happening out here. Fuentes is looking to press the issue forward, while Sanchez is struggling to try and find an aperture on Daniel Freckleton for the benefit of 7th. So yeah, I feel like Karthik Pai could be the one to really, if he plays his cards right, he could very much pull something out of the hat and pull maybe a 1 further place ahead than P10 and get some valuable points for himself as well, as we head down to the final sector and the run into nets now, as we get back on the front stretch with, you can see Alex Miller with the number 9 car, and then behind him Tolonen being caught up to head over fist by Kortiniemi, who's right at the draft of Tolonen. Is he going to try to think of a move down into Daishi? Is he going to move to the right-hand side? It looks as though it's going to be the defensive line for Tolonen, but can Kortiniemi try to roll it around? It seems as though the move will be made by Kortiniemi. Will he be able to make it stick? We still see Tolonen on the inside trying to recoup the position. It seems as though it might still be good for Kortiniemi, as he's going to have the inside for Coca-Cola. Is it going to be good enough? They're going side by side, almost touching lines on the entry to 100R, and Tolonen survives, but only just as Kortiniemi brings the new fastest lap down into the 123s. As we head into the hairpin now, it's still Tolonen very much leading, but look at the closeness of Kortiniemi there on the run down to 300R. Incredibly close scenes.
Incredibly close, but Kortiniemi almost had that done. And the key was the drive off the exit of Daiichi Corner. That was enough for Jukka Tolonen to just about build enough of a defense, and that was brave fighting too wide through Suntory corner. You don't often see that, and it normally ends in tears when drivers try it. So I have to give them both credit here. Two finished drivers pushing to the absolute limit, and they now know that this is going to be a very important fight between now and the end. Tolan looks like he's got a really good car for acceleration, and it's building him that gap off of the exits of these corners, but Courtiniemi's got a car that works so well. It's so slippery in a straight line. He's going to look to the right-hand side of the track, use the overspeed, go through. There's lap traffic on the inside. That is Matt Fairley who gets out of the way, but this time on the inside for Topi Courtiniemi. He will once again get the drive off the exit, and this time he'll confirm the move.
The move sticks, but we still see Tolonen trying to find an aperture through Coca-Cola. Will he try to send it down into Coca-Cola? They're side by side, almost touching again on the entry into 100R. My God, that was a close call, but Tolonen is going to have to yield to Courtiniemi, who started all the way back from 25th position, now up into 4th place as it's all kicking up behind again with the Freckleton crew, with Fuentes moving past Sanchez on the run down to Coca-Cola, on the run into Daishi actually. He got the move done before turn 1. Freckleton still stays on, but this time Sanchez managing to get past Sanchez. This time it's going to be his turn to have a go at dismantling the Freckleton plug, as I like to call it. Meanwhile, Karthik Pai chasing down the duo of Sanchez and Fuentes up ahead. And then we see Joshua Germany coming back after having a bit of a tussle with Thomas Bartfei a few laps earlier, and that really nice save from the exit of Panasonic. Here we are on board with Joshua Germany through Dunlop, currently chasing down Karthik Pai just ahead of him, who himself is chasing down Javier Sanchez, then Freckleton, then Fuentes and Freckleton in that order.
He's chasing, and this might be the first time Pepe Fuentes has a chance. Big mistake from Xavier Sanchez, and that opens up the door for Kartik Pai to have a think on this front stretch. But once you get on that, there's not much you can do, and there's a bit of traffic in front that's going to be huge. That's Jay Jakobowicz once again, who is just trying to limp the car around, it seems, at this point, as he has himself very, very heavy damage. In fact, he's missing the entirety at the front of his car, so that's why he's just running about as slow as he is. Fuentes having a look to the outside. He's not going to get close enough, but look at how aggressive they go on the brakes. Germany trying the uber wide line isn't going to work just yet, but if he gets a good drive down the hill, might have a chance towards turn 3. Not going to quite get there, so it's going to have to be patience here in terms of how this race gets constructed from this point onwards.
Exactly, patience is the name of the game, because the cars get lighter, the tires tend to wear a little bit more. You were talking about the offset of the degradation of the tire versus the lighter the car becomes when the fuel tends to be burned off, and also the drivers starting to feel a little bit of the wear of the race here as we head towards closer toward the finish line. 8 laps to go here in this Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series round at Fuji Speedway as we follow along with Karthik Pai and Joshua Germany just in the middle of that group, led by Daniel Freckleton and Pepe Fuentes, with Javier Sanchez in P9 and Karthik Pai in P10 respectively. Karthik Pai being harassed there by Joshua Germany, 4th set 10th position through nets. As we head onto Panasonic, we can see Fuentes and Sanchez trying to go for the wider line, while Freckleton sticks towards the inside a little bit more, on board with Joshua Germany, trying to get a bit more exit speed compared to that of Karthik Pai. It looks as though the gap is building in favor of Pai, though, up ahead. Will the slipstream be able to offset that? Doesn't seem quite likely as we head back to the front stretch with Freckleton leading Fuentes and Sanchez. It seems as though Fuentes is a little bit far to make the move happen. He's going to swerve a little bit toward the right-hand side, and it's going to be still Freckleton leading as they try to go wide behind him.
Tell you what, watch out for the run to 3, because Pepe Fuentes has got an almighty push forward. Has to lift, though, because the inside was covered, and he gets a little moment, and a bigger moment comes along for Freckleton. That might leave him vulnerable here at the hairpin at turn 6. He'll have to go hard to the inside, and that puts Fuentes on the outside trying to make this move. Maybe cut up and under. Xavier Sanchez is going to love this on the inside. He gets a mega run on that inside line, and now he's on the wrong side of the road, though, to secure it. It's 2 right-handers, which leads to the next right. Fuentes, though, is offline, so he can't really attack as he goes through, and suddenly he loses the back end on the inside anti-cut curb. Germany's going to pick up 2 for 1 on the inside of Kartik Pai, using that as a pick. Some wonderful racing.
That little swerve of the back end here on Dunlop was enough to cost a top 10 finish potentially there for Pepe Fuentes as he drops down to P11. 123.658. Topi Courtiniemi taking the fastest lap again as we are getting a little bit of a replay there from the perspective of Joshua Germany, who is followed behind Karthik Pai here. Now, take a look at the yellow car just up ahead of Karthik Pai. You can see the big save there from Pepe Fuentes. It's going to be costing him plenty of positions as a result of this, but yeah, the back end getting, the car getting all sideways through Dunlop, the car getting really unsettled, and that was enough to cost him 3 places right on the spot. As we head back to the live race action, and we see Germany being harassed by Fuentes, who got by Karthik Pai. So yeah, Fuentes now back on the chase and back on the hunt. He still finds himself within that P7 group, albeit a little bit further than he would have preferred to be here.
Yeah, he's a little bit further back, and he's still having to fight here. And in fact, as he went through, he had a slowdown penalty coming through turn 3, so that's why he gives up the position once again. A little bit of lap traffic letting everyone through. That's Matt Fairley letting them all go. But Xavier Sanchez once more has an amazing run and will be looking to try and get it. Freckleton covering the inside, has to go at the latest available opportunity to the defense, but you can pick up the run up the exit, climb up the hill to what is going to be turn 12 out on track, and Sanchez is on the wrong side of the road here to really make it happen, unless he can flick it up and under, or Germany can drive down the inside. Oh, the door was not closed quick enough. Joshua Germany, youth deep in the night.
Oh my goodness, and Sanchez must be ordering another pair of underwear with that moment through nets. That could have been oh so wrong as we head back down the front stretch. 5 to go here in this race. We still Freckington at the helm of that, but this time Joshua Germany takes up the slack from Sanchez with that mistake from Sanchez through nets. Is he going to try to make something happen? No, Sanchez is going to be the one to go for a move past Joshua Germany, who's going to be moving towards the outside. Sanchez moving up to the inside. They're going to go side by side through Daishi. Is he going to be able to retain the position from the exit feed that he has? It looks likely as they head to Coca-Cola. Sanchez again side by side. This time he's going to have to slot behind Germany. So Germany.
Oh, he's gone!
P8. Oh, he's gone. There's contact, it seems like, with Germany and Sanchez. Sanchez is also out of the picture, it seems, from what I was able to see. And Karthik Pai getting under threat from Fuentes as well on the run down to the hairpin. Oh my god, and yeah, there's damage. That front wing is touching the ground. Let's have a little bit of a replay of what happened there on the run down to turn 3. So this was the action a little bit before, with Joshua Germany retaining the position from Sanchez, barely just ahead though, as they're making their way towards Coca-Cola. And yeah, maybe a bit of a hot entry. Yeah, he snaps it, and oh, that's an unfortunate tag for Sanchez behind him as well. Both are going to be frustrated. I told you there was going to be something happening here. They cannot go on racing like this. There was something bound to happen, as we see Millward and Korchinemi bidding in a bit of a tussle for P3, with Korchinemi running around the outside of Daishi. They're still side by side heading to Coca-Cola. The line should be for Korchinemi. No, it's still going to be Millward heading in 3rd place ahead of 100R. What a pass attempt by Korchinemi. Millward managing to keep on a really strong defense there. Oh my goodness, we've had plenty of action in this lap.
We have had plenty of action, and I think it's rather telling in terms of the way that they've been scrapping about, looking for each place as it comes along. For Topi Kortaniemi, he's still looking for that move, but he's going to have to be patient over this part of the lap, because it is going to be a case of one line suits all as they run through. For Xavier Sanchez, he got desperately unlucky. He had a little bit of a wiggle on the exit, which put him in the path of Joshua Germany going around. That's part of the issue that went through, and I was listening, and I don't know much Spanish, but the one thing I did pick up from Xavier Sanchez over the radio was no entiendo. I don't understand. He didn't understand why Germany went for the move on the inside when it came to net a lap ago at this point. But now here comes Kortaniemi. He'll be searching for that move. Heavy to the inside goes Alex Millward, right over to the right-hand side. It will have to be the road higher travelled from Kortaniemi. He's got to go the long way if he wants to make it happen, and he's so good at trail braking on that inside, running out all over the curb, but Millward's got it covered, and they're going to go tyre to tyre. Oh, they went tyre to tyre. How are they both pointing in the same direction? Millward shuts the door on him as they go through. This is incredible stuff.
What a defense from Millward there on the run down to Coca-Cola. And yeah, rolling around the outside. You were mentioning trail braking was an area where Korchinemi was really having a strong suit there, and this time he gets a good run from the hairpin. Is he going to try to carry the momentum through? It seems as though Millward's able to continue sustaining just a little bit longer on the run down into Dunlop here. Korchinemi trying to swerve, trying to find himself a slot where we'll see him in his mirrors as we find a lap car getting out of the way. That was Barfai, it seems like, getting out of the way of... okay, that was There was a mistake on my part getting the lap car done, but that's okay. In the meantime, Millward and Courtiniemi still very much battling at it, and they're going to be heading back. 2 to go here, potentially, on this Fuji Speedway race, and this time Courtiniemi back in the slipstream of Alex Millward. 3/10 between these two. Is Millward going to go ultra defensive early on the inside? We're going to have to see. He's got a few lap cars just ahead of him. He's going to have to contend with. He moves over to the right-hand side. Courtiniemi is not going to have enough, or is he going to try to go for the braking? Oh my god, he got it stopped on time for Daichi here, and it's still going to be Courtiniemi chasing down Millward, but those last couple of laps, my goodness, was that close.
Well, here's the issue that you've got. Millward's going to go off. Millward's going to go off. Courtiniemi's got a free pass as he around the outside of 100R. They pass Daniel Gallus. They go through. Courtiniemi with the drive's going to take the place of all things. He's through up into position. We cut away over towards Freckleton, Pepe Fuentes and Kartik Pai as they fight into turn 1. But oh my goodness, Courtiniemi just found a gift, an absolutely fantastic pass, and they're still not done as they go through. And Millward's gone back. Oh my goodness, he's about the Millward's around.
And we see a replay of what happened between Courtiniemi and Millward. Millward going a little bit too hot here, Coca-Cola, and they're going 3-1 into 100R as Courtiniemi was trying to go around the outside, the long way around 100R into the hairpin. That was absolutely stunning display of driving from Courtiniemi, going around the outside. 3 wide through 100R, and then we go onto the run down to Dunlop. We can see Millward getting all the way into the slipstream, going around the outside of Dunlop, and he came back at him on the run through Dunlop. Oh, and he actually spun off.
I think there might have been contact between the two, which would have caused that, and Courtiniemi will feel like that was fought far too hard around the outside of Dunlop, especially with how quick that corner is so deadly. But it does put Courtiniemi up now into 3rd position and puts him in a wonderful, wonderful place in terms of this race. But here's your driver on screen right now, who we haven't really talked too much about since he made the pass on Michael de Turk. He has run off with a race which he knows, above all else, he had to go and commit and get maximum points out of, especially where Courtiniemi started today in 25th. Andy T has a smile on his face, and he's just got a handful of corners to go here, Thomas.
Just the final sector with Nets and Panasonic left to go. That was nothing short of amazing for Andy T, starting in first place, getting passed by Michael de Turk early on before getting the place back. And then he never looked back and got never worried by anyone behind him, including Michael de Turk. Out of Panasonic he goes. And for the second time in 2 races, from the pole he started, and he will take the checkered flag as the winner here in the Sunday Grand Prix Series. Victory for Andy T. Michael de Turk in 2nd place. In the meantime, behind we see Freckleton and Fuentes fighting. Courtiniemi should run into P3 at the flag, and Fuentes passes Freckleton. Safe for Kartik Pai on the run into nets. Kartik Pai still very much side by side, going with Freckleton. This time he got the move stuck in as we head through nets, and spin for Freckleton. The number 15 got it a little bit too hot trying to defend on Kartik Pai, and that is going to settle the matter for Freckleton, who drops down to P9. You can see Fuentes and Pai will be running in 7th and 8th. Freckleton salvages P9, but it could have been oh so much better. He had such a good defense all the way through the race, but in the end, final lap, final set of corners, it all kicked off.
It all did. Some great racing then up and down the order. The last few drivers will make their way over, just the 15 on the leading lap, but there's not much more you can say about this. This is Fuji Speedway, and this is why it's a great racetrack to have on the iRacing service. It just produces amazing racing.
Indeed, it has been an amazing race. Now, we will be back in a few moments with the race results and the post-race interviews. Quick break, stay with us.
iRacing is a sim racing game that combines a true-to-life racing experience with an online community of virtual racers from all around the globe. iRacing offers a multitude of officially licensed cars and tracks, laser scanned with millimeter accuracy. Their car models and mechanical systems are based on real-world physics, engineered in cooperation with manufacturers and race teams. Their skill license system ranges from rookie to pro, ensuring members are always pitted against those with similar skill sets. Members are able to sign up for a weekly race series, compete in time trials, host a private race with friends, and participate in racing leagues created and run by the community. With over 170,000 members, iRacing works in partnership with renowned motorsports organizations like NASCAR to deliver virtual races based on the real-life NASCAR Cup Series, as well as many other series on the NASCAR ladder. iRacing also features team racing, providing a variety of options for members to create and manage their own teams. Race with friends or real-world teammates in full-length endurance events like the 24 Hours of Daytona, Spa 24, or the Bathurst 12 Hour. Additional partners include IMSA, World of Outlaws, Supercars, and IndyCar, allowing members to race in their very own Indianapolis 500, Bathurst 1000, Chili Bowl, and many more iconic events. This is iRacing, delivering the most authentic racing experience short of getting into a real race car. Sign up today at iRacing.com.
Good morning, everyone. I'm going to ride around the world. I'm Mick Claridge, and I'm going to ride around the world on my bike.
My son, he gave me advice at the start of this ride, and he looked at me and just said, "Dad, don't be a moron."
Let me do my animal signal to gain their respect.
How's it going, Sally? Yeah, I'm alright, Mick. How's it going? Worse than that bit in Lord of the Rings where they go into the top and the spiders in the tunnel. I'm just hoping there's a spider at the top of this one to kill me. Freezing.
And I failed. I moroned up the ride.
Wow, what a race it has been over at Fuji Speedway for the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series. Here are your race results. Andretti taking a second consecutive race win in 2 races, 2.5 seconds ahead of Michael Leclerc in second. Completing the podium is Topi Cortinemi in a late scrap along with Alex Millward. Jukka Tolonen finishes in 4th position, Alex Millward in P5, Gernot Fritzsche P6, Pepe Fuentes in 7th at the end of a race-long battle involving 5 cars. Karthik Pai, 8th place, Dylan Freckleton was at the forefront of that pack, but then stumbled at the last few corners and coming away with P9, and then Javier Sanchez completes the top 10.
Moving over the page into 11th is Joshua Germany after his spins. Jason Clapper will finish 12th with Keith Herner 13th. Kyle Ridley and Seamus Power, they round out the last finishes on the leading lap. Some lap traffic here, or lap drivers include Daniel Gallus. Barry West, after his spin early on, had troubles. David Azevedo was back down. Adam Keller had a drive-through penalty today. That's why he was back there for jumping the start. Kurt Clapper finishing in 20th.
And over to the third and final page for the run of contestants here. Further, the last man to be a lap down is Matt Nielsen, finishing 21st. Then 2 laps down, we find Thomas Barfai and Matt Fairley in 22nd and 23rd. Then Jay Jakobowicz in 24th, Andrew Lowry in 25th. Then Cristiano Coraini, Chris Roberts, Andy Hugill, Armando Edwards, and John Bailiff complete the top 30. John Bailiff, of course, having that incident already at the start. And we are ready to talk to our race winner. That is, of course, Andy T. Andy, congratulations on the win. We haven't really been talking about the race that much because you seem to have such a comfortable time up there despite the start with Michael Leclerc. Tell us how it went through from your perspective.
Yeah, I mean, I practiced with Michael a little earlier in this week, so I knew he had pace. It was just a case of making my race set a little more racy. So should I be behind someone, I had a throw of the dice. And yeah, I got a nice exit off the last turn and reeled him in. And I think he maybe made a little error on the brakes, which made the pass easier than it should have been. But after that, it was mostly looking at apexes and watching out for traffic, which was a bit questionable. It was questionable today.
Yeah. Speaking of traffic, we were kind of like looking at the locked cars that were going around the circuit as the race went on. How was your actually process of going about dealing with that traffic? Because we know with some of the corners there, with like 100R and some in the section through nets, it can be a little bit difficult to navigate that traffic. What was your approach to avoid any drama there?
It's mostly, I think I've said this in a previous interview, just leave a little buffer should they make a mistake so that you can adjust. Because if you just follow someone 0.3 off their rear wing, you maybe make them make a mistake. Or if they just are a little slower than you anticipate, you have absolutely no wiggle room and you plow into the back of them. So it's tough. But when people do crazy, unpredictable things, that's when the problems come up. And that happened to me and someone took the apex there at like 80 kph or something, and oh dear.
Well, we got one Japanese race in the season down. We got another one to go next week at Suzuka. How much are you looking forward to going back to the figure eight of Suzuka?
I'm not sure I'll be there. I've got stuff going on, so I might race in the week, but I'm not sure I'll be there next weekend.
That might be a little bit presumptuous of me. Well, sorry about that, but any word you want to throw to anyone out here before sending it off?
Michael, thanks for the practice earlier in the week. Topi, what a drive, Topi Korteniemi. Oh my, talk to that guy. Dear Lord, you won't see a better drive. Hoops, the fan, you guys for the broadcast, the usual suspects. Thanks, everybody.
We'll have Topi in a little bit. Don't worry about it. Thank you very much, Andy, for your time. And well, congratulations again on your win. Next up, well, Jake, I'm going to let you take it over because up next is your second place driver, Michael the Turk.
Michael, you were up here last week having a little bit of talk about the drivers and scouting the competition. Today you're P2 and it could have very easily have been a victory, but it looked like you got a fantastic start. You got yourself away, but then he just, he's Andy T. He just reels you back in. It's what he does.
He's just so good. I'm going to sing Andy's praises for basically my entire interview. It's so hard to be as consistent as him. He's so good on the brakes. And, I only got second because he and I practiced together earlier this week, and that helps a ton to drive with somebody that fast. But man, he's just so consistent.
He's so consistent, but talk about this track because it was, I would say, an unusual run, especially through at that Dunlop corner. It looked like it took away that braking opportunity to go and make a pass, but at the same time, it really allowed for drivers to have to try and thread the needle through that final sector. How difficult is that run up the hill, especially with the two corners at the end of the lap being just so long and difficult to place where the right point to brake is?
There's about 8 different lines through there, and it begs you to run the inside curb and try to get a run out of the corner. But if you do that just a little bit too much, you get a little bit of oversteer, and then you have to correct that, and suddenly you're out on the sausages, and your race is over because you've destroyed all of the aero on the car.
Suzuka next week. Is that going to be something that you're looking at going, I want to try and get there, I want to try and get an extra position? And how do you go from a track like this, which is so fast over that front stretch, and then it has these long sweeping corners, to go into something which is pretty much a jack of all trades track where it's got a little bit of everything?
I think actually my setup for Fuji versus Suzuka will almost be a little bit similar, maybe a little bit more spring rate on Suzuka. But I tend to drive with a little bit more downforce than most of the guys. I'm suspecting I had a little bit less top speed here today, but got to sit in Andy's draft for a little bit, so that helped me. But jumping into Suzuka, I will drive with a little more downforce, and I think it may leave me a sitting duck going into Casio, but we'll see.
We will see indeed. Floor is yours, though, Michael. Who do you want to give a thanks to?
Big thanks to Andy for all the help this week, getting me back up to speed after doing W12 at COTA. I think I spun 6 times in 4 laps trying to do this at the beginning of the week. So huge thanks to him and Yuka for racing all week, as well as Alex. We had a good time practicing together, I think. So, and thanks to you guys for the great broadcast as usual.
No worries then. Michael de Turk joining us, finishing second position overall after an amazing start to the race. Who have you found, Thomas?
Well, we've got the man completing the podium after a stunning drive all the way through the field. It is Topi Korteniemi, third place in this race. Topi, before we go into your race overall, let's have a little discussion about what's ensued in the last few laps with Alex Millward. That was quite a fight, wasn't it?
Yes, that got me sweating. I had to admit. We drove very close. I think we banged wheels on the straight. I think nothing happened from that. But Alex was driving a strong defense, maybe even pinching at some corners. I chose to stay alive. I had to check the replay. I don't say anything definitive before that, but it was quite a fight, seeing that we go 3 wide into the fast right-hander with the lapper on the outside. I don't know if I should have pulled that off, but it worked this time.
Well, it worked, and yeah, it made for some pretty intense footage up in the commentary box. Now, let's talk about your race. It started off on the back foot with not really any ability to put a qualifying lap together due to some issues that we've covered on the broadcast. How do you go from having a bit of a rough qualifying session and set yourself back into the mind, okay, I got to actually get myself some distance points, and I've got to make my drive through the field and make it as efficient as possible? How did you get yourself into that sort of mindset?
I don't know. I didn't have a plan for that because I was going to put a banker lap anyway in quali. so I had to come up with the attitude like I have nothing to lose. I just send it and see what happens.
Yeah, sometimes just winging it is some of the best strategies, although it can be a bit of a double-edged sword, let me tell you. So we've done the race at Fuji. We've got one more race in Japan at Suzuka. Quite a different track. What is your expectation there, and how much are you looking forward to going to Suzuka next week?
Oh, it's a fun track for this guys. I'm looking forward to it, definitely.
All right, there's someone eager to actually head off to our next race, of course. Before we go, if you want to say something to anyone that you want to shout out or anything, the floor is yours.
Oh yeah, Andy for the win. He had a good drive. I wish we could have had a great battle in the front because we haven't had one in the whole season, like a proper battle without either of us crashing or spinning on our own or otherwise being off pace. But yeah, well done, mate.
All right, thank you very much for your time, and again, congratulations on your podium finish, Topi.
Thanks.
And that is going to be it for the drivers' interviews. And DT, your winner, ahead of Michael de Turk, and completing the podium, of course, Topi Kortiniemi. And that is going to be the end of this broadcast for the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series. Big thanks to the team today with Jake, Ryan, and Dougie. Make sure to check out our social media, website, and merchandise store listed on screen, and also with links in the description below. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well, so you don't miss any moment of racing here at GSRC. The Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series returns next week with the Suzuka Circuit race on August 28th at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Return to normal scheduled programming when it comes to the Lotus 79s. And of course, there are other race broadcasts listed here on the screen. Make sure to check those out and note the dates down on your calendar. Up next on GSRC will be the Majors Europe Modified Mayhem of Wheat Sport at 11:45 a.m. Eastern. Until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.